Hey, Vinny Melkus Outdoors. I've been sick. I've got like one heck of an ear infection, so I've been out of the game for a little while. What I wanted to talk about was actually happened. I think it was last week. MLF. Well, it happened a while ago. MLF was polling fans, and I knew they do things with anglers, so they're polling their own anglers on a change of format. They wanted to see if people enjoyed the, catch, weigh, release all fish, cumulative weight that way, or going to a more along the lines of what we're all used to if you fish tournaments around the country is a 5 fish limit, but doing catch, weigh, release and just tallying up those numbers, which I know there's been a lot of outcry over the number of years that MLF has been in existence, when the BBT and stuff, that a lot of fans, especially hardcore tournament anglers, have kind of more been pushed towards bass over the 5 fish limit. And I understand that. It's the 5 fish limit is the standard that we've kind of, I guess, as anglers have put into place. It hasn't always been that way, and there's been other tournaments of 7 fish. I mean, all kinds of different standards. But it seems like the marketplace of fishing tournaments and anglers has kind of determined that the 5 fish limit is the standard by which we kind of measure the success of somebody. And with a 5 fish limit, you can cross trail kind of, I guess, standardized results in a sense. I know it's not that simple. There's a lot of more nuance into it, but effectively it is. One of the real tough things to do is how do you rate MLF anglers against or BBT anglers against like bass and all these other characters when you're fishing an entirely different game. Even though I like the catch, weigh, release all fish. It's an interesting dynamic. But anyway, let's get back to the main point. MLF come out after all this voting and stuff finally, and they made some decisions. They're going to a 5 fish at least running total weight, meaning that their weights are based off the 5 biggest fish of the day. I mean, the catch, weigh, release the same as before, minus 2 tournaments. So I think they're keeping like some general tire series thing, and then the heavy hitters is going to be that's traditional. I mean, the catch, weigh, release all fish over a certain size, So I think, I'm actually a fan of the catch, weigh, release all fish or whatnot. You can really see who's on to something, and I enjoy that, and the rush and the kind of the build up, seeing where everybody's placing and somebody gets on a hot streak, and that tension that was built up there. I enjoyed that. I understand that the majority of anglers would prefer the 5 fish limit, and I can go either way, so it doesn't matter. I just enjoy I enjoyed tournament fishing to begin with. So this is, to me, I don't have a real negative opinion on it. I think I just looked at it as the positive. I was like, well, now, yeah, we're getting a 5 fish limit pretty much. Of course, they changed some of the qualifying things in their events, where you no longer, if you're the top of your group, you don't just automatically get a berth into the championship. You fish all the rounds you're supposed to fish in. But anyway, so I don't have a negative view on this. It's still positive when you catch, weigh, release. It's still positive for competitive fishing, and I think it will actually bring in, I guess, the old school people that kind of rejected MLF, because now you will have that. Like I said, there's more of a standardization and more relatable, since most people, probably 99% of people that fish any kind of tournament, whether that be the lowest level tournament, they have a 5 fish limit. I mean, I guess 95%, because a lot of people do big bashes or whatever. That's different. But the majority of tournament anglers fish a 5 fish limit or some iteration of that. So it will be more relatable, and I think it's probably a good move when it comes to getting at the hardcore base of angling. I think there's been this drive to get people in the sport, get non-endemic sponsors, which you have to do that. But at the same time, it's like, well, let's not sacrifice what the sport is about. we can grow it the right way instead of constantly changing. Okay, there's my one negative. All right, there's my one negative. I'll go into that. The negative of this is that the MLF keeps changing all the time. So there's hardly any standard to begin with. Whatever, that organization, and Major League Fishing, their standards keep changing all the time. We need to figure out what they want to do, and let's do it. And then just kind of, change. You can change a few rules here and there to kind of sharpen the competition, or make it a little bit fairer, or whatever the case may be. But they're changing platforms like completely, entirely. Going from this to that is just, it's like a fart in the wind. You never know where it's going, So that's the one criticism. I'll throw that out there, just so there's two sides of the argument. And then I think for people that don't normally watch bass fishing, the catch, weigh, release every fish and whatnot was a lot more. There's a lot more drama. There's a lot more engagement for them. When I see people watching it at like a gym or whatever, then they don't look like anglers to me, but maybe they are. I mean, looks can be deceiving, but I just assume that they're just people that are just watching it because it's interesting and it's fun to watch, and there's a lot of it's more engaging than a 5 fish kind of limit. But we'll see how they can pull it off, because they can kind of tie some of those same elements, and if they can tie them in successfully with the 5 fish limit, and that to build that kind of into that drama and kind of theatrics, that it could work out. But overall, I think it's probably a good move. What else happened? There's the elite qualifiers. I mean, now that the opens have wrapped up, so there's some interesting faces that have made it, some guys that really deserve to be there. Some really humble, nice guys. I'm not going to name any names, but that I've met. So that's awesome that they're they've qualified for the Elite Series, and it'd be fun to watch those dudes, because that is the most competitive. I'll be completely honest, the most competitive and the hardest tournament trail leading up to a professional level events is the Bassmaster Opens. One, because they're so oversubscribed. What I mean by that is there's so many people that are trying to get into them. Two, everyone, you're competing one against, I think I've done this before, so I don't want to get too much. The competition is really stiff. The qualification is really stiff. You can't have a really bad tournament. It's changing this next year, so it's good. It's going to get even tougher. It's going to knock a lot of people out that would normally qualify through one division or be able to go into one division. Now you have to do them all, and they'll go through that list, which I think is a bad move for for the Opens. I really do. I think that's a horrible move, because you're going to axe out a lot of talent that maybe financially can't get it together to just get to that point. And I know you're going to say, well, then how are they going to make it on the Elite Series? Well, you can tie things together. You got to give them a chance first. I just think it's a bad move. Now you're just giving it to the already professional level people. Sorry, I got some dude who decides to walk by my window here. I was like, what are you doing, bro? But anyway, you're now just consolidated the people that are already financially well off, and they can afford to do that. You might not get the best angler. The best anglers are the best talents. Traveling all the way up and down the East Coast, all the way, and you have to hit those 9 to qualify. So it just, I think that's a bad move on Bass. And I'm getting into I think I already went through the Opens. I like the way it was. I think that, like, this year, instead of doing the tiebreakers, going down the divisions, they went down the overall. That makes sense to me. Those are the guys that put, a little bit that much effort into it, fishing all 9. But taking away all the qualifications from each division, if you're really solid in that division, I think is kind of a bad move, because I understand that's I guess they're trying to transition it to more of the AAA into the elites, but it was original intent of the Opens was to give the average guy the opportunity to compete, showcase himself, and prove that he's the best in that region, and to go up to the next level. But I don't know. That's just one man's opinion here. Anyway, I appreciate the support. Like, subscribe, help me out here, and I'll talk to you later.